Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Students, you will be enjoying good health. Uh, Today, this is the online lecture on postmodernism, and our lecture is on The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. As you already have studied about the style and the method by Arundhati Roy, that how does she write and how does she discuss about the environment and uh, the specific culture which she is the representative, and we have studied or just have got the headlines or just the scenario, the opening scenario of this book, of this novel. And if we shall study this third chapter, the name of this chapter, or the title of this chapter, Big Man the Laltan and the Small Man the Mombati, as you can understand well that this big man the Laltan, and this signifies, or this such kind of metaphor or association, it itself tells about the significance of Laltan or Mobati, which is related with the small man, and big man is the Laltan. So the title itself suggests, like the other titles of other chapters, just like the other chapters we are having in the beginning. Um, it is work is struggle, the history house, wisdom exercises notebooks, the God of small things itself, like the title, and the pessimist and the optimist. Such um, titles, they themselves represent the ideology of the writer, that what does writer wants to say to the reader, or what the text is actually saying, because we are mostly dealing with the text and the textual references. Those, it is very important for us to understand what the text is saying, because we are concerned with the big man, and big is written with the capital B, and man is written with the capital man, M. So Laltan is written with, it means that the style shows the title, in the title, the style shows that the text wants to notify something which is related to class differences. The big man must be a man, it means that who is culturally strong, religiously strong, and economically strong. And small man is that man that who is culturally or socially not having the big or signified social position or status. And he is represented as Mombati, which is very common article in society. So if we start the chapter number 3, the filth had laid siege the Eminem house like a medieval army advancing on an enemy castle. It clotted every service and clung to the window panes. So the very beginning of this chapter shows that filth had laid siege to the house, Eminem house. So like a medieval army. So it means that the very words or the imagery or the usage of meaning very uh, warlike imagery, and very filth and bad imagery, which is not very light or delightful, or which is related to very meaning natural and prosperous or very positive energy of something. It is related as the bad things, because it clotted every surface and clung to the window panes. So it means that everywhere there is a filth. It means that everything which is related to the house of Kerala, it is meaning signify, it signifies somehow that the culture, the concept of uh, the filthiness is having the clutches. Either it is a social filth, or it is the filth of natural or the nature antagonism. All these things, they are signified by this word. This is signifier in a very broadened way. So midges whizzed in the teapots, and dead insects lay in the empty vases. So it means again there is the imagery which is a very dark imagery, and throughout the whole novel, we can find only the negative things, not the positive things. So again, it shows that the culture somehow the text wants to show, or the people living around, or the environment is very dead, and which is not very naturalistically positive, or or happy for the people living over there. So the floor was sticky, while walls have turned an uneven gray, and brass hinges and door handles were dull and greasy to the touch, and infrequently used plug points were clogged with grime. So light bulbs had a film of oil on them. The only things that shone were the giant cockroaches that scurried around like vanished gophers on a film set. Baby Kochoma had stopped noticing these things long ago. So Baby Kochoma is actually the woman who is the bua or the khala character, who is the aunt of the family, and she has not married. And because once she loved someone with whom she couldn't marry, or she wanted to marry in a very meaning out of cultural way, but she couldn't. So Kochu Maria, who noticed everything, and he stopped caring. The chaise lounge on which baby Kuchuma reclined has crushed peanut shells and snuffed into the cervices of its its rotting upholstery. In an unconscious gesture of television and forced democracy, mistress and servants both scrabbled unseeingly in the same bowl of nuts, and Kochumaria tossed nuts into her mouth, and baby Kochuma placed them decorously in hers. So on the best of Donahue, the studio audience watched a clip from a film in which a black busker was singing somewhere over in the rainbow in a subway station, and he sang sincerely as though he has. So this is all the description which shows that the people first, the style or the style of the text is it that it shows the environment, and it deals with the environment, the around surrounding, through which the concept of characterization is clear. So Coach Maria looked at her, though she had gone mad, and grabbed more than her fair share of nuts, and the busker threw his head back when he hit the high notes. So again, this is the description of the characters who are dealing with many things, or dealing with layer time. So theater is their interesting pastime. So they want to live in that pastime while eating, and just watching dramas, or watching theater, or listening to the songs. Then the lights went up into the studio, and Donahue presented the man himself, and who on a pre-arranged cue started the song from exactly the point that he had to stop for a train. So the studio audience clapped and looked compassionate, and the busker glowed with prime time happiness, and for a few moments deprivation took a back seat. It had been his dream to sing on the Donna show, and he had not realizing that he had just been robbed of that too. They are big dreams. There are big dreams and title and little ones. Big man, the Laltan Sahab, and small man, the Mombati. And so this concept is again used because this is the style of the text, that the not only some sentences or some phrases are used as titled as title words, but they are also utilized by the text in the within the text or within the chapter. So, an old Bihari coolie who met Astha's school's excursion party at the railway station unfailingly year after year. So used to say of dreams. Big man the lantern, and small man the tallow stick. Huge man the stop lights, and he omitted to say, and the small man the subway station. So the masters would haggle with him as he trudged behind them with the boy's luggage, and he bowed legs forward, further bowed, cruel schoolboys imitating his gait, and balls in brackets they used to call him. So smallest man smallest man the very course, and he clean forgot to mention as he wobbled off with less than half the money he had asked for and less than a tenth of what he deserved. So outside the rain he had stopped, and the grey sky curdled, and the clouds resolved themselves into little lumps like standard substandard mattress stuffing. So Esteban appeared at the kitchen door, wet and wiser than he really was. Behind him, the long grass sparkled, and the puppy stood on the step beside him. Raindrops slide or slid across the curved bottom of the rusted gutter of the edge of the roof like shining beads on an hibiscus. So baby Kuchuma looked up from the television. Here he comes, and she announced to Rahil, not bothering to lower her voice. Now watch, he won't say anything, and he will walk straight to his room. Just watch. The puppy seized the opportunity and tried to stage a combined entry. Kochumaria hit the floor fiercely with her palms and said, "Hup, hup, Puda and Puda Palti." So the puppy wisely desisted. It appeared to be familiar with his routine. "Watch," Baby Kochuma said. "He seems excited. He will walk straight to his room and wash his clothes." So she had the air of a game warden, pointing out an animal in the grass and taking pride in her ability to predict its movement. So, another quality of baby Kachuma is declared here, that she predicts about the things, meaning the text shows that her character is not very simple character, and she knows how the things can react in future. So it is again glimpsed here in the last line of this page. A gloating halo appeared around baby Kochuma's head. "See," she said. A gloating halo appeared around baby Kochuma's head. So, matlab, her mind is full of activities. It cannot be seized, or it cannot be pacified very easily. So, the concept of life at the South India is very clear over here, that it is based on um, rain, atmosphere, surrounding, poems, hurdles, prophecies, marriages, and all such things. They are related to the South Indian culture, the food, especially and specifically food. And again in the fifth chapter, God's own country. Let me deal with it. God's own country. Here again, years later, when Rahil returned to the river, it greeted her with a ghastly skull smile with holes where teeth had been, a limp hand raised from a hospital bed. Both things had happened. It had shrunk and she had grown. Downriver, a salt water barrage had been built in the exchange for votes from the influential paddy farmer lobby. The barrage regulated the inflow of salt water from the backwaters that opened into the Arabian Sea. So, despite the fact that it was June and raining and the river was no more than a swollen drain now, a thin ribbon of thick water that lapped wearily at the mud banks on either side sequented sequined with the occasional silver slant of a dead fish. It was choked with a succulent weed whose furred brown roots waved like thin tentacles underwater, and bronze-winged lily trotters walked across it and splay-footed, cautious. So again, this paragraph shows the concept of the hostile naturalistic elements. Even the river has been stopped or it has been too salty. Even the fishes or the natural creatures or the sea creatures or the fish, the toads or turtles, they cannot meaning properly live over there in this atmosphere. Once it had been the power to evoke fear. So this is very significant sentence when it is said that. Once it had the power to evoke fear, to change lives. But now its teeth were drawn and its spirit spent. It was just a slow, sludging green ribbon that fetid garbage to the sea. Bright plastic bags blew across its viscous, weedy surface like subtropical flying flowers, and the stone steps. So again, there is a description of atmosphere, a description of surrounding the river and its filthy condition. Um, on the other side of river, there is again description of the river, the steep, because now the river is textually having an intimation in the life of all the characters, or it has a meaning uh, as a devised tool to towards the development of culture in this chapter or in this novel. The steep mud banks changed abruptly into low mud walls of shanty hutments, and children hung their bottoms over the edge and defecated directly onto the squelchly sucking mud of the exposed riverbed, and the smaller ones left their dribbling mustard streaks to find their own way drawn. So again, this is the description of the poor strata or the poor people or the street children who do not find their home as cozy to uh, to to quench their uh, enjoyment in little houses. So they go to the river and they just enjoy the filthiness over there. So eventually, by evening, the river would rouse itself to accept the day's offering and sludge off to the sea, and leaving wavy lines of thick white scum in its wake. Upstream, clean mothers who washed clothes and pots in unadulterated factor effluence. So this word adulterated. So unadulterated stand for meaning something is adulterated then. So where are the adulterated factories? So if this river is an unadulterated factory, so where is the adulterated factory? So as a reader, we have to find it out that what this word signifies in this in this novel, because people bathed and served torsos, soaping themselves, arranged like dark busts on a thin rocking ribbon lawn. So on warm days, the smell of shit lifted off the river and hovered over Eminem like a hat. So further inhaled, further inland and still across, a five-star hotel chain had bought the Heart of Darkness. So, Heart of Darkness, this is called intertextuality on page 125, chapter 5th, God's Own Country. We can find now the Heart of Darkness, bought the Heart of Darkness. So, this description of the literal usage of the title of the novel, Heart of Darkness by Hardy, or you can find here that why this intertextuality is used, because this is the symptom of the postmodern literature, that this intertextuality is used. And the history house, and again there is a mentioning of the history house where the map breathed ancestors with the tough toes nail once whispered could no longer be approaching from the river. It had turned its back on Eminem, and the hotel guests were ferried across the backwaters straight from Cochin. They arrived with the speed bore opening up a V of foam on the water, leaving behind a rainbow film of gasoline. So, uh, this concept of visualization of life through the environment, this is again the description of the environment. This is again a postmodern element, like we have just already discussed, and we have already seen, and we have already read and analyzed through 100 years of solitude, because 100 years of solitude, it constantly is seen as the description of not simply of modernization, the conversion of modernization toward post-modernization, but also there is a concept of naturalistic element which have become hostile, and it has turned into the conceptualization which has become traditional, at the same time historical, and at the same time they were becoming, meaning uh, estranged, because human life becomes very much dedicated to the word of estrangement. And when as estrangement it lingered on, it became the concept of it just uncovered or encompass into the concept of nothingness. So this is again the postmodern element. So God of Small Things, it again, the title suggests that it is dealing with the environment, a naturalistic environment mostly, and not emphatically as this concentration is on human characters as compared to the surroundings and the history and the tradition and the culture which is represented through the description of different uh, environmental, different relationship concepts. And it means that this is the postmodern novel by Arundhati Roy is not a simple novel in a way that it describes just the relationship between human beings. It tells us the relationship between human beings and nature, which is a destiny, which has become a destiny for them, and this destiny is not being recognized and not being actualized by the human being. So they become very much um, uh, uh, desperate for knowing their future, and they are living in present condition without knowing that how to live, how to stay balanced in a society where they do not know what to do next. So it means that it is this representation is unfuturistic, and it does not show any kind of hope to their life, to give the meanings to their life. So that again absurdity or nothingness is prevailing in the whole chapters, in the whole lines, and even the imagery, the concept of of uh, of metaphors and the figures of speech are so dominant in this chapter on this novel, that we in each word we find a balanced intimation of society which has become absurd, and which does not or cannot make equalization, or it cannot make balance between the human beings or among human beings and between nature and human beings. So it means that again nothingness of human beings is on the surface by the writer, as we can see in 100 Years of Solitude, as represented by Garcia. So I have given all of you, the student. I have shared with the CRs of your classes the four short stories on postmodernism, and you can check that I have just given the most um recent stories and the most recent postmodernist and the very famous short stories I have given to you, I have shared with you. One is of a female, and this conversation with my with the father. This is very interesting story, and I think that you will find it good. And Don DeLillo, that the story by him, Pixie Glass, is very interesting, and you have to meaning certified. You have to meaning deal with it. That how could you take this story, and how you dig out the meaning as applying the concept of postmodern theory. And definitely, I have just given the example of by reading God's Own Country, the chapter from God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy, that there is a description of Heart of Darkness, and it is written in capital letters. So it again shows that this is actually intertextuality. Intertextuality does not mean that there is a text within a text. Simply, it does not show simply this thing. It shows that the same words, the same famous words, or the same title of another novel, or the same characters, the famous characters must be included in that chapter, so it will become an intertextuality. Otherwise, it is not the intertextuality which has been interpreted mostly by the students in the presentation, in their presentation. And those who are left, or those groups who are left with the presentation of 100 Years of Solitude, definitely they will be presenting their presentation inshallah in the coming week, if we are going to have the next class. Otherwise, there will be two questions from this 100, two questions from the God of Small Things, and one question will be from the short story, or two questions. I will just rather to give two questions from the short story, two questions from short story, and two questions from the God of Small Things, and three questions from 100 Years of Solitude. So you have to meaning prepare them, and I am not just allocating the amount of questions. Rather, I just want to make my student to understand thoroughly the actual concept of postmodern theory and its rationale. And definitely, inshallah, within 1 or 2 days, or meaning this is a longer weekend, as you know. So I will share with you the questions which will be of God of Small Things, and from the short stories I have just shared with the CRs. So hopefully we'll be having, or we'll be ending this lecture with you of the first semesters of MPhil uh, in English. This is postmodern literature class, which has been ended now. The lecture on postmodern literature. So today we have just discussed the lecture, or discussed the novel by Arundhati Roy, The God of Small Things. The rest of the four short stories, definitely, if you will be studying them, and you have to prepare them according to the question which I will give uh, within 1 or 2 days, inshallah, meaning by the end of this week, and you will be having the questions. Okay, God bless you all the way. Thank you.